Thank you all for being here. This video is going to be on this arccaptain plasma cutter, but what I'm really excited about and the reason why I wanted to do this video is that this thing is supposed to be a rust removal machine. And I got rusty parts, believe me. So let's see if this machine can eat rust off these old Porsche parts. This guy comes with a standard weld plug, which is 220 volts. There is an adapter to run this on 110 too, which makes it really versatile for like portable use. If you have to go in the field or something, you can just plug it into 110. But let's light it up and see what the screen's like. I like how it comes out of the box, ready to go, 55 amps, that's max. So we adjust the amps here, comes with all the connections needed and an air pressure regulator and actually a water separator. The chart that comes with the welder says if you're running on 240 volts, pretty much anything you're cutting would require 60 PSI. So we can dial up the PSI right here. It's a mechanical regulator in the back, but it displays the actual PSI right here in the front. And it has a feature, you can change it to megapascals, which I don't use that, but you can turn the gas on without pulling the trigger. So that helps when you're setting your air pressure. So I have it set now to 60 when the air is flowing. When it's not flowing, it's a bit higher, 69, 70. I'm anxious about this rust removal mode. This is the icon for rust removal. It looks like fairy dust, so I love that. The current is not adjustable in this mode. It just defaults to 35 amps, and the air is still the same, so let's try it out. Okay, first up is this valve cover. It's rusty and dented and, you know, pretty bad. So let's see what happens. So it's pretty hot, so I'm gonna let it cool down and then we'll see what happens. I was kind of hoping it would work like you've seen on those videos with the laser cleaner. It's not shiny metal, but I was being a little conservative. If you get too close, it'll start to gouge the metal, which I did right here. It does come clean pretty quick. And then this side is about equally rusty. Let's see what the wire wheel does to this for comparison. This is the side with the plasma cutter. This is the side without. And this deep rust, some of the light rust comes off with the wire wheel just fine. This deeper area here, this rust was a little deeper, and that doesn't seem to be as clean as it does on this side. So I think it's a cool tool. I'm gonna try it now on the inside where, you know, getting a wire wheel in here is really difficult and kind of dangerous with these lips. Let that cool down because it does put a fair amount of heat in the part. That's not that bad considering, you know, what this side looks like. So let's hit this side with the wire wheel and see if we see any difference. This side doesn't look like it was pitted as bad, but this does have some pits and looks like inside the pits, it's done a pretty good job of going down inside the pits, which is sort of hard to do with the wire wheel. Not a huge difference between the two. I still think the wire wheel is doing a lot of work, but it does work well and it's great for tight areas that are hard to get to. You just gotta be careful you don't overheat the part, you don't warp the part. So of course, I was really excited to try the rust removal features, and unfortunately, there's still no magic bullet with rust removal. It still is difficult, and you know, the lasers are, like I said, expensive. I think the prices are coming down, but this is promising. Like the fact that the plasma cutters can do something and the lasers are getting cheaper, I think we're ultimately gonna have rust removal become easy. So fingers crossed for that. Thanks for this review. I know some of you guys don't like reviews, but I really wanted, like I said, to try this rust removal feature. I made a video in the past on like 5 different ways to remove rust, and I'll put a link to that video right here. But it looks like on this part, probably the best way would be sandblasting because it's so rough and it's got pits, and this has to get absolutely clean before you would run this again on an engine. It has to get cleaned and then replated. From what I can tell so far, the speed seems to be about the same as a sandblaster or a small spot blaster. It's not like you can do this whole part in 10 seconds. It's a lot of, you know, going back and forth and vaporizing the rust. That metal was almost glowing red, so I'm not gonna hold it down much longer than that. I don't know that this is ever a savable part, but I don't want to destroy it just for the sake of destroying it. But that put a fair amount of heat into it because this is pretty thin sheet metal. This is probably 40 thousandths thick. I'm gonna try to cut some 1/8 inch aluminum here, pretty long cut. I'm gonna freehand it with this wire guard. That keeps the tip just a little bit off the surface so you're not dragging it, makes it smoother. The machine is set to full power, 55, And I left the air pressure at about 60. You can see the cut is a little wavy. That's just because it's hard to follow a straight line when you're, dragging this thing along. And it cut that really pretty quickly. It just kind of throws this aluminum here on the floor. So this time I'm going to cut this 3/8 steel. It's pretty thick. And this time I'm going to use the straight edge that I just made with the aluminum. I'm going to take the guard off because, like I said, this tip will travel right along the edge and keep a little distance off of the workpiece. So we're not just dragging the tip, we're sliding right along the top piece of this aluminum. So that should do a pretty nice cut on this. I'm going to leave the machine set at the same settings. It's 55 amps and 60 PSI when the machine's running. So the cut quality on that one was pretty good. The only times that's not great is when I did some start and stops. I wanted to make sure I was still following the template correctly. And then at the end, I didn't have as much place to hold my hands, to steady my hands. So it was a little more jittery at the end. In the future, I would have probably made this template stick out a little longer so I have a place to keep my hands, just to help steady the motion. And I do have the clamp connected directly to the part this time because it's a little bit up off the table. Here's a look at what's left over on the bottom side. A little bit of dross, and I have a tool that will just break that right off. There is more dross on the drop side, so it also chips off pretty easy. It will cut thicker, but you do have to slow down your cut speed quite a bit. And the tip remains pretty clean after that big cut, so definitely has more life in it, even after that big 3/8 cut. And see, by the third cut, I got my torch angle situated where this is almost exactly 90 degrees without any cleaning at all. That is almost a perfect cut. And if you're wondering, guys, this is why I did not epoxy my floors, because welding and plasma cutting and metalworking and hammering on stuff is really hard on the floors. This is thin sheet metal, which should be a piece of cake for this machine. I've reduced the current to 20 amps. This is about 20 gauge, and I put the guard back on. So let's see how it does when you freehand thin sheet metal. And I'm gonna pierce a hole in there, aim the sparks away from me. So the faster you go, the thinner the kerf is. And the slower you go, the thicker it is. So you gotta kind of find a sweet spot that works well for you. So this was the correct speed here. There's a little bit narrower kerf and a little bit less dross on there. When you go too slow, it sort of just clumps it up, makes a mess. So I like this speed here for the thin sheet metal. Eye protection, I either wear these goggles, which are for oxyacetylene welding. They're a little bit on the dark side to see kind of the line, but as long as you're following a template, these work pretty well, and I can still see the display through the goggles. And then if it's a little bit more like 20 amp work or thin sheet metal work, then I'll leave it in grind mode and I can see perfectly fine. All the settings, really easy to see. You got 0 water accumulated here in the trap. It's important to have dry air on your cutter because if not, it'll affect the arc and you'll get some more contamination and oxidization and stuff. So it's nice that it comes with that. You can adjust it up and down. Like I said, read it here on the front. No complaints with the machine at all. This is my old machine. It's a Lincoln and it doesn't have the same current. It only goes up to, I think, 25 or 30 amps. So I'm absolutely gonna replace the old Lincoln with this new arccaptain. The arccaptain is even smaller than the Lincoln. And the cord length on this is plenty long. It's probably, 10 to 15 feet long. It's great. It's a fantastic plasma cutter and it'll absolutely replace my Lincoln machine. It's got more power, it's got more adjustability, the air supply is better. Pretty much everything about it is better. It's got more adjustability on post-flow, pre-flow, air supply, pressure. It's got some diagnostics in there to tell you kind of when the flow is not right. I like the machine a lot. There'll be a link in the description below if you're interested in buying one. I think there's a discount from arccaptain if you use the link. So I appreciate that, guys, and hopefully this keeps you working on your cars. For automotive stuff, I would absolutely use this to cut out like a rusty floor. You can do rust repairs, just rough it out with the plasma cutter and then come back with a carbide tool or an air saw or something to get the final cut done. But yeah, it's a great tool for making all kinds of stuff. This combined with my laser is almost endless possibilities. So I can cut out templates on my laser in thin plastic, like ABS or fiber reinforced plastic, and then I can use the plasma cutter to follow any shape that I can cut out with a laser, which is everything. So if I need to make a bunch of circles or if I need to do a complex shape, I can absolutely use the plasma cutter for both aluminum and steel. There's no way an angle grinder or a cutoff tool is gonna cut anything like the plasma cutter. It's just better in every way. Check out the link below and we'll see you guys next week.